bad fall. It's a shame, but he's not
Hey,
going
I'm
any
Decathlon
further.
Gamer,
There's a
and
collective
this
fall
is
with
the Road to
several
the
riders on
Record,
the
where I
ground.
work to achieve
We can only
mastery
hope
of
that they
10
all get back
games
up.
and a hunt for the best score of the Decathlon. If you like what you see, remember to hit that like button, and if you want to see more, hit subscribe. Let the
A
games
rider
begin.
is down.
Right, so this is Pro Cycling Manager 2017,
There's now just
and
10
I have
kilometers
just
left.
started a career as a pro cyclist. This is episode number 2. And in this, our third race of the year, it is a cup race where we are a bit more competitive than we would be in a regular contest. There's fewer competitive riders here. I have been given the task to work for our team leader, Vetkov, who I could be seen with right now. We are approaching the
Withdrawal
end of
of
the
a
race. We're
rider.
actually
He
heading
seemed to have neither
into
the energy nor the
the
courage
final
to keep
climb
going.
right now with just 6K to go. And where we're at is there's one rider just seconds ahead of the pack, and I have spent the entire race protecting our lead rider, Vetkov. Uh, one by one, the rest of our team has fallen off, as has most of the field. We've now caught that one breakaway rider.
The
We've got
riders are entering
2.5
the last 5
minutes
kilometers of the
from the head
stage.
of our group to a small group behind. And our 20 riders that remain are going to duke it out for the winner with just 4.5K left to go. And one by one, this group is falling off, but so am I. I've used up whatever stamina I had left, but I have just enough strength as a climber compared to these other riders that I am hanging in there for now. But as soon as they accelerate, like right now, I'm done for. I am going to get left behind, as is about half the group. So our race day is done. We're going to get whatever we can left out of our rider as
Falling
we
behind. A
push
team
to
leader is falling behind.
the finish line just a couple kilometers away. Our leader, Vetkov, who we protected well throughout the race, has a chance. He's in the lead group
And they're
of
off.
8
It's going to
riders.
be very fast.
Now 5 riders as they push for the finish line. Vetkov is in with a chance thanks to our efforts, so let's see if it pays off. They approach the line, and he is in that top 5 group.
Superb sprint victory.
He
Was
comes
the
in third.
strongest at the
So
last.
we
The
were able
riders
to at
bringing
least
up the
get a
rear have
podium
made it
finish
through sheer
for our
willpower.
teammate.
This
Us,
stage
on
was
the
a
other hand,
real strength sapper.
look to be at the back of the initial group of 20 at the base of the climb. And now we just got caught by the group behind us. That's going to push us outside of the top 20 most likely, as it does. And we get 23rd. So still a top 25 finish anyway. Not bad, not bad. We'll take it, especially when we had a Barrador role, meaning we were in a support role, so we needed to work for that leader this race. And we burned a lot of energy getting him safely up and over the few climbs leading up to that final climb where we had already burned whatever energy we had. And sadly, I think our evaluation by the team principal is not going to be very good because his objective for us was to actually lead the pack, meaning in a work role of riding off of the front for 20K over the course of the race. Now, while we were in front of our lead rider that whole time, we were never given the opportunity to actually go ahead and do that. And I don't think they're going to count leading him for the entire length of the race besides the final few K where he finally pushed off and left us behind. I don't think that's going to count towards that objective, but we'll see how that comes out as we get our evaluation
And here are
here
a few
shortly.
of the key moments.
And there's our teammate right there in third crossing the line. All right, Caja Rural, a very excellent climbing team based in Spain, ends up finishing 1 and 2 ahead of our teammate. All right, here was our evaluation, and yeah, as expected, his objective for us was to work at the head of the group for 20K, but our team leader asked right at the very beginning for us to shield him from the wind, and we did that, and he never released us of that duty at any point all the way through the end. And as a result, we, at least as a supportive teammate, getting a teammate in a third, get a bad / excellent, so we still at least got a decent overall for the race. They took that into account at least. So our progression, we're getting closer to level 9, and our manager satisfaction is quite high now to 95% through our first 3 races. Also, through our first 3 races, and from the end of that first episode, we did win the very first race out without even any actual effort. We won from the breakaway and just hung on. And in that, we earned 15 super prestige points, which is nothing. As a small cup race of 0 importance, it did not come with a significant prize of any sort, but those 15 points did allow us to earn 3 points on the Decathlon competition. With the end of the race we just finished, we now head into the real races of the year, the actual paid competition races. And we will now take our 1 victory, a chance to be noticed as a young rider, and actually head into real competition. Our race coming up is the New Zealand Cycle Classic. It's a 5-stage stage race, and it looks like this first stage is set to be in individual time trial. More of a prologue than anything. It's only 6.7 kilometers, and the way that the attributes work for the characters. Oh, nice. That's new. I hadn't seen that before. Forecasted race day condition, along with the weather and everything else. And your peak. Interesting. All right. Well, that's nice to see. Anyway, looking at our attributes, I have a time trial and a prologue attribute. So I have a 69 for time trial, I have a 68 for prologue. Those are neck and neck and have very little impact. But if, for example, one was a 75 and one was a 60, there'd be a pretty big gap between these. Now, 5 kilometers is considered a prologue. Once you get beyond that, it starts leaning towards time trial. However, it does not suddenly just become the only attribute matters is time trial once you hit a race that's 5.1 kilometers. As we are almost prologue, if we were below 5, we'd be almost 100% prologue, with very little impact from the time trial category. But as we are just beyond that, it'll actually be well over 50-50 in favor of our prologue attribute on what contributes to that. But as my character is neck and neck on that, it's not going to have an impact. So this is going to be a very short time trial stage that we're setting up for here, and should only take us a couple minutes to do. Hopefully they have worked out the bugs on this, as when 2017 first released, they had some real issues with the time trials and prologue races that we're setting up for. It would crash often, and I actually had to sim quite a few races. Alright, so we are racing for the stage, and they expect us to finish in the top 20, which is nice that I have been chosen to race hard on the day and not just save my energy to support somebody else later on. It looks like I'm going to be the 3rd one off the starting block today. It is speeding through right now to get to me, and currently the top time is about 8.5 minutes. Our teammate, Taylor Sheldon, has actually come in 3rd, now 4th. They'll continue to slide down, but they at least also had a decent performance, and I'm just about up for the race, and here we go. Alright, now I want to push. This is how far I have to go. This is how much stamina I have left. If this is below that, and we are riding too hard and need to slow down. We need to save just enough energy. We are on a flat course here today, or almost completely flat. You want to save just a little bit for the end, but you want this to be as close to zero without actually reaching zero when you reach the end, and that's how to perform in these time trial competitions. Here's the one strong or decent climb up the stage, and we're up and over that, but that did burn up a bit of energy, so we got to make sure we save just a little bit. But here's our one chance to recover that as we get downhill, and we're right back to level. Here's the last little bit of a climb, and now we're into the finish, and we had just that tiny bit left, and we were able to come across the line third. Of course, we're only halfway through, so I doubt we'll hang on to that third, but that should be a strong enough performance, hopefully at least for a top 10, which our objective on the day was a top 20. So we are looking good for that. So we are 7 seconds off the pace of Sean Lake right now, and Team Rally's Brandon McNulty is in second. All right.
The rider crossing the line is credited with the best
So
time so
Joseph
far.
Cooper has just made his way to the lead, so that drops us to fourth. I'm going to go ahead and speed up again, and we'll push towards the end. Our teammate Barry is currently out on the track, and approaching the line, they reach in 34th. We've slipped to 5th place, but we are now getting closer to the end of this competition. We're still hanging on to now 8th, 9th. Okay, my goal was to hang on to a top 10 by the end. I think we might slip outside of that. Now we're down to 10th, 11th. Yeah, we just slipped outside of the top 10. 11th place, just missing the top 10. But for our very first time trial out, very first prologue, no surprise here. This is probably going to be the strongest racer in this competition, and he has an excellent chance of coming out of this 5-day race on top of the leaderboard. That's Nielsen Palace. That is one of the great hopes for the future of American cycling right there. Nielsen Palace is seen as a strong stage rider of the future, and very well could be winning tour races in roughly 3 or 4 years from now in real life. So Nielsen Palace heads out of the blocks with...
Bad fall. It's a shame, but he's not going
Hey, I'm
any
Decathlon
further.
Gamer, and this is the Road to the Wrecker, where I work to achieve mastery of 10 games and a hunt for the best score of the Decathlon. If you like what you see, remember to hit that like button. And if you want to see more, hit subscribe. Let the games begin. Right, so this is Pro Cycling Manager 2017, and I have just started a career as a pro cyclist. This is episode number 2, and in this, our third race of the year, it is a cup race where we are a bit more competitive than we would be in a regular contest. There's fewer competitive riders here. I have been given the task to work for our team leader, Vetkov, who I could be seen with right now. We are approaching the end of the race. We're actually heading into the final climb right now with just 6K to go. And where we're at is there's one rider just seconds ahead of the pack, and I have spent the entire race protecting our lead rider, Vetkov. One by one, the rest of our team has fallen off, as has most of the field. We've now caught that one breakaway rider. We've got 2.5 minutes from the head of our group to a small group behind, and our 20 riders that remain are going to duke it out for the winner with just 4.5K left to go. And one by one, this group is falling off, but so am I. I've used up whatever stamina I had left, but I have just enough strength as a climber compared to these other riders that I am hanging in there for now. But as soon as they accelerate, like right now, I'm done for. I am going to get left behind, as is about half the group. So our race day is done. We're going to get whatever we can left out of our rider as we push to the finish line just a couple kilometers away. Our leader, Vetkov, who we protected well throughout the race. He's in the lead group
And they're
of
off.
8
It's going to
riders
be
among the team. Vetkov is once again given the role of team leader. My setup today is actually very poor. I have a -4 on my race day condition, meaning um, my racer is tired today. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm not going to try to get it into any sort of breakaway, and I definitely don't want to give up the 11th place that we have in the overall standings. Actually, I like to try to hang on to that for now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get near the front of the field because things happen. The field gets split up, so it's safer to race in the front. Then I'm going to hang out and stay out of the wind and
the
save
peloton
my
has slowed down a bit.
energy and see what I can do late. Um, More so, I just kind of want to be in the hunt at the end of this race
He's
and maybe get the
making
same
a
time as
break. He
others.
can't have much idea of what's lying in front
All
of
right,
him.
now I'm far enough up ahead. I'm going to go ahead and sit in and maintain my position and speed time up. Now, as I'm not assigned as a teammate today, I will not have to go back and fetch water bottles. I'll have a teammate who will do that. So I should have a pretty comfortable ride up until the finish, where I'm going to have to work hard to maintain uh, maintain my place in the overall standings. If I could finish on the same time as everybody else, I should stay right around 11th place. All right, so we have just a 2-man breakaway on the race today, and we've allowed them to get 5 minutes ahead before upping our pace. So it should be pretty easy to pull those 2 riders back in, as they're going to burn a lot of energy to stay out in front of the group. And with only 2 riders, you've got 50% of the workload at all times, and so you don't get safety from the wind, which burns a whole lot more energy, and they're just going to have a difficult time riding hard and staying ahead of this group. And unlike my first few races, where you had a very weak field, even though this is just a Continental competition, the field's still going to be probably twice as strong as that we faced in the that first few cups, and that surprise victory that we were able to score in the first race out. So we have a teammate who just fell, and they're 2 minutes behind the peloton, but the peloton has actually split over top of that hill. Even though that rider is 2 minutes behind, he's 2 minutes behind from the front of our group. Oh, and he's fallen a second time, and our leader Vetkov has fallen. They have been able to latch back on to the back of the group, but they're going to lose a lot of energy in that and trying to get back to front. So we're already over the final climb of the day. There's one small hill, about 20K from the end, and a lot of this is slightly downhill. So most of the riders are going to come in with a fair bit of energy as we approach the finish line, which means we are not in any sort of contention for a high finish. But I will go ahead and use whatever energy I have at the end to sprint to try to get that higher finish and maybe compete for a top 20 or top 25 finish. And now we're going to get closer here. I'm going to start to slow time down. We are 13K to the finish line. We've caught the second man of the breakaway. There's the first man ahead of us, just about caught as we approach 10K to go in the race. And we are in strong position. Vetkov looks fine after his fall earlier. He's right here at the front. He's being protected by Barry. We are now inside 6K. And here's a push as some of the racers are starting to try to break away and see if they can get a short breakaway finish towards the end, which we were given permission to do that, but I know we just don't have any sort of sprinting prowess to do anything like that. And now we're into the final 2K. I'm going to go ahead and start pushing my way towards the front. I'm not going to give it everything I've got here. I want to have a little bit left to sprint, and now I'm going to go sprint here to the finish line. 1K to go. Like I said, we were not in contention for a win today. We're not a sprinter by any means, but I wanted to be in the group actually saying there was a break in the top 7. I don't think there will be. I think in the standings we will all be together. There we go. We finished just outside of the top 20 in
We're waiting for the tail enders
23rd.
who continue to arrive.
Not worried about that finish. I'm just worried about coming in on the same time so that we're able to hold our position in the overall standings. And maybe as we head to the mountains and the field gets split up, that decent prologue performance will translate into maybe a top 5 position in the overall standings. All right, we got a few racers to come in. Let me speed the time up to make sure they get over that line so we can progress out of this stage. With that top 25 finish, I don't see any
And here
reason
are the race
why
highlights that we've selected for you.
team manager would be upset with us, even though we didn't try to go into a breakaway.
Bad fall. It's a shame, but he's not going
Hey, I'm
any
Decathlon
further.
Gamer, and this is the road to the record, where I work to achieve mastery of 10 games and a hunt for the best score of the Decathlon. If you like what you see, remember to hit that like button. And if you want to see more, hit subscribe. Let the games begin. Right, so this is Pro Cycling Manager 2017, and I have just started a career as a pro cyclist. This is episode number 2, and in this, our 3rd race of the year, it is a cup race where we are a bit more competitive than we would be in a regular contest. There's fewer competitive riders here. I have been given the task to work for our team leader, Vetkov, who I could be seen with right now. We are approaching the end of the race. We're actually heading into the final climb right now with just 6K to go. And where we're at is there's one rider just seconds ahead of the pack, and I have spent the entire race protecting our lead rider, Vetkov. One by one, the rest of our team has fallen off, as has most of the field. We have now caught that one breakaway rider. We've got 2.5 minutes from the head of our group to a small group behind. And our 20 riders that remain are going to duke it out for the winner with just 4.5K left to go. And one by one, this group is falling off, but so am I. I've used up whatever stamina I had left, but I have just enough strength as a climber compared to these other riders that I am hanging in there for now. But as soon as they accelerate, like right now, I'm done for. I am going to get left behind, as is about half the group. So our race day is done. We're going to get whatever we can left out of our rider as we push to the finish line just a couple kilometers away. Our leader, Vetkov, who we protected well throughout the race, has a chance. He's in the lead group of 8 riders. Now 5 riders as they push for the finish line. Vetkov is in with a chance thanks to our efforts, so let's see if it pays off. They approach the line, and he is in that top 5 group. He comes in 3rd. So we were able to at least get a podium finish for our teammate. Us, on the other hand, look to be at the back of the initial group of 20 at the base of the climb. And now we just got caught by the group behind us. That's going to push us outside of the top 20 most likely, as it does, and we get 23rd. So still a top 25 finish anyway. Not bad, not bad. We'll take it, especially when we had a Barrador role, meaning we were in a support role, so we needed to work for that leader this race, and we burned a lot of energy getting him. But I should be keeping my team manager happy. We're 2 minutes down on the breakaway group. There's just 4 riders up ahead, so I'm not too worried about that. I'm going to go ahead and slow it down a little bit. I don't want to waste energy here, and as soon as we reach our 20K, I'd really like to fit back into the peloton. Speed things up just a little bit here, but since we are managing the front,
it's now over 2 minutes.
Not going to push it too fast. Alright, there's 10K at the front. So I'm slowly allowing the group to get away. Nobody else has taken over the role of leading the pack besides me, even though I'm set to relay. Infinite relay would be where you push and do whatever you can to stay at the front. and I'm not doing that. I'm just going at a pace that nobody else wants to keep up with. All right, we're 75% of the way towards our objective. I
The
should be
peloton
able to
seems to
drop
want to
off
wind the
and
breakaway back in. Now
slip
they're
back into the
riding, and the
peloton
gap
soon,
is
but
melting
I've got to be
away. The
careful
pace
because
is really
Vetkov
hot, so for the moment, we
wants me
shouldn't
at the
see too
front
many
right now,
attacks.
which of course is exactly where I'm at, but I don't want to anger my teammate. All right, so we've achieved our objective for the day. I'm really going to start to lay off here. If nobody else is going to take the reins and take the lead, then why should I waste my energy trying to keep that gap? Especially when I've already achieved the objective that my team leader set out for me. In fact, even though I'm only at 56 effort-wise, uh, my I was actually closing down that gap there for a while, though it's out to over 3 minutes now, so we just passed the sprint. I'm sure in competition for the points available at that sprint.
Look, the pack has taken its foot off the gas.
That's probably
The
why
team
they
leaders can't be
accelerated.
too worried about the
All
breakaway.
right, so hanging out down to 56 now, I appear to just be doing what's asked and just rotating through. So this is a pretty decent place to be in, where I'm not using up any effort pretty much whatsoever, except for you can see my overall stamina for the day and for our next stage has taken a little bit of a
Some
hit
team
compared
managers
to our
mustn't
teammates
appreciate the
because of
fact
the
that
time
there is
that
a
I've spent
breakaway,
out
given
front.
that the pack has
So you can
increased
see
its speed.
over the course of a 5-day race, if I'm working with less here, then I'm going to be able to compete. I'm not going to be able to compete as
Another attack in
at
the
such
leading
a
group.
good level. So I really don't want to burn more energy here than is necessary. So I'm glad that at this point, even though my team leader has asked me to ride hard, I'm kind of just right at that mark where I'm doing just enough.
The pack is increasing its work rate. Some teams can't be happy with the breakaway.
All right, so we just went over our first climb of the day. We have 3 left to go. Even though that was only a level 4 climb, that was the longest as we actually started climbing not long after the start of this stage.
Whoa, there's an attack from inside the breakaway group.
All right, so we are approaching our second climb, and we're now on that.
A couple of teams have set themselves up as pacemakers for the pack.
I did
They
notice I was
obviously don't
slipping
have
back a
anybody in the
bit.
breakaway group.
Again, I don't want to waste energy, so I'm not going to do more than I have to, but I also don't want to get in trouble with my teammate for underperforming.
They really are
that's
moving.
the end of our second climb. That was the steepest climb of the day. So
up.
for that very reason, that's why I strongly believe that this is going to be a sprint finish and not going to the strongest climber, because we've already done half the climbs, including the most challenging one. And you can see from the field here, my teammates anyway, are all looking pretty fresh still. Not a whole lot of fatigue out there. And our third climb's coming up here real soon, and there's nothing to it. And it's going to be quite a while before the fourth climb. One of the only things is that you can see in between these third and fourth climbs, this area is not level by any means. So there's a lot of elevation change in there, and that will use up some energy among the riders. But this long downhill, gentle slope to the finish,
We're already at the halfway
I don't
stage.
see why
The
this
front
field
group is
would be
disorganized, and some riders
very
are
split up
exploiting
by
this
any
opportunity
means
to
once
attack.
we get towards the end. Alright, I seem to be slipping back again, so I better speed myself up just a little bit. And there's our third climb of the day now behind us. Personally, we're still doing well, even though we've had to be off the front. We are hurting a little bit here, but that was from those early efforts.
The pack is increasing its work
that
rate.
we had to
Some
lead the way.
teams can't be happy
Barry's
with the
the one
breakaway.
using up a lot of his energy now, as we are kind of just hanging on to the back end of this group. The orders still haven't changed, but they said to catch up to the breakaway, and we have not done that. They're still 3 minutes ahead of us. again, as much as I want to support my teammate,
There are some
I'm
legs
also
that
thinking
just
about
can't take the
us.
speed anymore.
All right, so
The
it looks
riders are being
like
left behind.
we're finally being allowed to take a breather. We've been up at the front long enough, and we're allowed to relax. Pace also does seem to have picked up a bit. We're just under 3
This is
minutes
the
to
last
go.
third of the
I'm going to
race.
go ahead and
The
speed
team
things
leaders
up
have
a
their
little
minds
bit
fixed on
as
today's
things are a
goal.
little quiet. All right, looks like we're being sent back to the front again. So our breather is over. And now even at 69, we're actually not even in the mix for leading the way. But again, that's not something I want to get involved in right now, as I want to make sure that I have enough stamina to get to the end of this stage race, or at the end of this stage, still in the pack. So I'd like to conserve some energy. All right, here's the final climb. We're heading up and over, and that's done. Our work is done there. You can see nobody is lost. The peloton, though, did shrink. It's only 27 riders left, but surprisingly, our entire team is among the peloton group. But you can already see the first group has tagged back on, and now we've doubled the size of the peloton. But we amazingly still left quite a few riders behind, but that group of 21 is still just off the back, and yeah, they've caught up. So uh, as much as the last climb hurt a few riders and we saw some small gaps open up, things closed right back up. All right, so we're coming into the final 10K, and I'm going to go ahead and slow things down. Okay, so here's my orders. Okay, Decathlon, you lay down an easy pace at the front of the peloton, so we're seen on TV. So I'm being asked to control the peloton at this time. Now, as we are just 7K from the end, again, I'm not going to finish in the top of the field. We have caught up to the breakaway. They are long gone. There's only one rider off the back, so the whole field is here. So there's no reason why I'm going to lose anything, and I have plenty of stamina. So I'm going to go ahead and keep the tempo up so that I'm helping to control the peloton, which I just did for quite a while, and now we're just 4K from the end. And I really haven't wasted hardly any energy to do that.
There are reports of several riders in difficulty.
All right, so now we're 2K from the end. I'm going to push here, use my gel,
The sprint is on. The
and
riders are
I'm
setting
going to
themselves
sprint
up.
for the end, see if we can get a top 10 finish. But again, sprinters are going to fly right by me.
He snatched victory in that mass sprint
I'm going to have a decent
he can
finish
thank
here.
His teammates who let him out in perfect
Just
conditions.
outside of the top 10, 12th place. Vetkov came in right behind me in 14th, where he should be. It looks like the field actually did get split up just a little bit, so there are going to be some riders losing a few seconds. And it'd be interesting if anybody in that top 10 just ahead of me was among that group, and if they actually did get a split on the time. If they did, we could see ourselves inside the top 10 of the overall standings.
And here are the race highlights that we've selected for you.
So 12th on the stage, still 11th overall, so it looks like there was no split. No, there wasn't, just that single rider off the back. So even though a small gap started to open, it was not big enough to separate the time. So if you're new to cycling, to racing here, even though all of these riders we cross the line at various times and seconds apart, when it's a bunch finish like that, everybody gets the same time. At least everybody who's in the bunch gets the same time as the first one to cross the line. So when Morgan crossed the line at 3 hours, 21 minutes, 28 seconds, even though I was probably 3 or 4 seconds behind that, or maybe just 2 seconds behind that, I get the same time as he does, as do the riders at the back of the field. So the main thing is finishing in the group, in the bunch. All right, well, we are 3 stages of the way through. Our team leader is very happy with us for our performance on the stage. It only added 1% as it was a simple stage and it was just a row of working, but we did add again some progression points towards leveling up. So we're through 3 stages. We're going to be heading into stage 4 next time. But for now, that does it for this episode. I'm Decathlon Gamer, and remember, I'm aiming for the best of the best. So if you're ready to join me on my journey, hit subscribe, and tune in next time on my road to the record.